Well, it's afternoon on a Saturday. So I've got the pleasure of interviewing this amazing gentleman next to me, or in front of me, and his name is Sam Parzo. And I met him in Myrtle Beach, or not really Myrtle Beach. Yeah, Myrtle Beach. Came to your house, bought some shit off Facebook Marketplace. Actually, I met your wife, and then she was so impressed with you that she thought you might actually like me. And we're two car guys. So I want to talk a little bit about you and your story and how you got to where you are today. I think it's a fascinating story. And you're in the car business, and you do retail car sales and you do wholesale car sales. And you got to paint this picture. Why should I want to know anything about you?
Well, I would say at this point, I am the supplier. I don't do retail any longer.
Okay.
I still own
Good for you.
Thank you, thank you. It is absolutely a blessing. Um, I am the acquisition specialist. I go out and I can fulfill a need for multiple franchise dealerships um, that end up going to the end user.
So when you say a dealership, you're going to a new car dealership and they have a used car inventory, and you're going to auctions and you're going to other car dealers, and you're basically, are you warehousing inventory, buying inventory, and then going, hey, this would be a good car for this dealer and this would be a good car for that dealer? Is that, it's like you pull them in and then shuffle them around? How does it work?
Absolutely. So there's absolutely there's an auction aspect. There's a buying from individual aspect. There's buying trade-ins from other dealerships. Certain dealerships in certain markets won't keep certain inventory. So you get a 2015 with 60,000 miles in middle America. They might not keep that car. You get a 22 Range Rover with 50,000 miles southeast. They might not keep that inventory.
Where are you buying most of these cars?
All over the East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah.
And you're buying for just dealers that you got into a certain relationship with. You got to go back a little bit. How the hell did you start doing this shit?
So I was 16 years old and getting ready to get my first car.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was in the mattress business,
Mm-hmm.
and a gentleman walked in to buy a mattress, and my dad and they got to chopping it up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a wholesaler," and he's like, "Hey, my kid's getting ready to turn 16. He needs a car. I'll give you a great deal on a bed. You know, beds are a dime a dozen, right? You want a bed, you can buy 50, you can buy 100, buy 1,000, doesn't matter." But he's like, "Hey, my kid needs a car. He's going to turn 16. Would you give me a good deal?" That never happened, but he made the introduction. So at 15 years old, actually, I was working with another acquaintance friend of my father's, and he got me into mobile detailing.
Oh, there you go.
So I started as a mobile detailer at 15 years old. We go around Rockville, Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland, doing really high end cars.
How old were you then? 15?
15.
And what year was that? 90 what?
I graduated in 2000, so I guess I was like 95, 96.
Yeah? Detailing cars.
Yeah.
And did you have like joy and like a mop bucket or something? Like what were you doing? Like did you buff cars too?
Not then.
Not then.
My mentor in the mobile detail business, he could do it all. But these cars were, you pull up to these massive mansions and, off of Riva Road in Bethesda or Rockville, and 6-car garages and 7 and they'd all be under car covers for 7 days. And the 2 cars that, the husband, wife, whatever, drove throughout the week, we detailed those cars. The other 6 or 7 or 8 cars, we
kind of wiped them out.
uncover, dust mop them, tire shine them, just in case they were going to come out of the garage.
Yeah.
One of my favorites was the guy had a literal treasure chest in his front yard. I never saw the guy, and the check was always in the treasure chest. It was freaking amazing.
Really?
Never saw the guy. Had to go to his garage, open it up.
So after detailing, where'd you go?
So that I worked for Giant Foods when I was. So I had the mobile detailing, Worked for Giant Foods, 15 to 18. Graduated high school. Decided that I was going to take 3 months and blow every dollar I had ever earned.
That's smart.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Good learning experience. I think Garrett did that too.
Yeah,
He did his at 17 though.
yeah. So I went to Mexico on senior week. Went to Ocean City, Maryland. Blew every dollar I ever earned in 3 months. Called the guy that I had met 3 years prior, and said, "Hey, I actually when I called him, he said we can cuss on this."
Yeah, you can cope. Absolutely.
So I called him and he said, "Sam, I'm busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you need?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I need a job." So I'm mobile detailing on Saturdays, which I thought I could still do. And at 15 to 18, I was making $700-800 on a Saturday. And he says, "Well, you come." I said, I know how to clean cars.
Right.
I can move around,
Right.
whatever. But I need Monday through Friday. So he goes, "Okay, well, you can come work for me." And
Damn.
you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
You'll make it?
Yeah.
You need some water?
Store's making him all choked up.
Starbucks double shot. Mm.
So he said, you can come to work for me. And
what did he do?
he was a wholesaler.
Oh, wholesaler.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. He didn't have a new car lot. It was just a
Nope.
wholesale lot.
Purely wholesale.
And where did you start? Did you go to the auctions? Did you kind of network, go to the dealerships, just ride with
No,
him?
in the
as an
very
assistant?
in the very beginning, I went to go work for him. I was making $700-800 on a Saturday doing my mobile detail business.
Yeah.
I went to go work for him for $300 a week.
A week. You hear that, Garrett? I'm fucking way overpaying your ass now.
I was doing the calculation on the way here. I think you're getting a hell of a deal.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's week to week. Do we do this month to month? Up, down, up, down. It's like a roller coaster.
So he was in the at that point. I think he had already been in the car business for, I don't know, 15.
Great mentor, though.
10, phenomenal mentor.
Yeah, is he still alive?
He is.
Good. You still talk to him?
I just saw him Tuesday when I was in Maryland.
Well, have you stolen all of his business yet?
No,
No. He what's his name?
Frank.
Frank. You
Yeah.
still work together in the same kind of world?
Yeah,
Wholesaling?
we don't do much together, but we commingle.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
We can coexist.
And so, car business wise, did you have a retail lot at one time?
I did.
How did that work? Tell me why you opened it and why you closed it.
So I was like I said, I supply cars to multiple dealerships, and I was at a specific dealership where the GM, where I'm talking to the GM, and he says, "Hey Sam, we did like 400,000 gross this month," and I was about 70% of their supply.
Wow.
So I did the math, and I said, "Wow, I think maybe I should go buy a piece of real estate and maybe do my own thing."
Yeah.
And so I had, at that point, I had already been in the car business for, I guess, 15-ish years. I think I'm on 25 now. So I guess it was like 15-16 years I was, in. And then, so it became an acquisition of real estate, and then as an independent, which is what I was, your banking is the way you get third party lending completely different than if you can hang a shingle as a Ford or a Toyota or Mitsubishi or any.
Yeah, to touch into that a little bit, when I got out of college, I sold cars for a little while, and getting into finance, they have such an advantage over a small independent lot because they have the big banks that they can get better buy rates, and they buy more paper through the new and the used, so they can funnel some of the used car inventory in there and get a better rate for somebody. Is that what you saw?
Absolutely. So I think that where I was able to succeed in the independent space was these banks would come in, and I had 15 years of track record of doing thousands of cars a month, or a year rather. And so when these banks would come in, and typically, they want to see track record, right? Like so how are you going to get these banks? So the thing that I stood on is I didn't say, "Oh, I'm new." I'm like, I have a 15-year track record, and here's the books. And I remember I don't know how specific you can get with certain things, but I had a bank come in and they basically laughed at me. They're like, "There's no way." And I have a 10,000 square foot building in Maryland. It's very professional, 6,000 square foot of warehouse space. We made the place gorgeous. I mean, it's very nice. And and I asked him as he sat there in my office, looking down on me the way I felt, and I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You knew what you were coming to. You knew you were coming to an independent. Why are you here?" And he said, "Out of obligation." I said, "Well, you can leave. Just get out of my office. I don't need you." I said, I said, when you go back and you tell them that you weren't going to sign us, tell them that we only did $30 million in sales last year as a wholesaler. What do we need you for, right? I'll find another bank.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned around and he goes, 30 million? And I said, yeah. I said, if I can do that as a wholesaler, what do you think I'm going to do as retail? And he says, let me get your paperwork ready.
What bank was it? You can say it. It doesn't matter.
Was it a local bank or was it a
No,
national?
it was a
Chase?
national bank.
Okay.
It was
Chase.
a national bank.
It was a national
It
brand.
was a big band, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the big boys.
It was a big bank.
It's all good.
Because
Go ahead.
interesting on the retail side, because my brain goes to, okay, you're a wholesaler. You're making X amount on a car when you're selling it to a dealership. My brain would be like, heck, if I can supply myself, sell the vehicle to my new business, and then I'm making that money, and then I'm making the money again from the retail customer. That's like a nice double whammy on one SKU.
Well, that's actually was my process. It was exactly that. And so any GM, if you will, operator that was there to help me facilitate the retail sale, I did not give the ability for them to buy their own inventory. I said, I want you to focus on selling. But here's what I do is, because I'm already going to bring the inventory in, and I'm already going to process it the way that I process my inventory, which is significantly greater than most
Yeah, that's what you were saying earlier.
most wholesalers.
So every single car, not every, but most of the cars, if they need tires, he puts tires. Windshield, puts windshield.
Mm-hmm.
If it needs brakes, he puts brakes. Like he's getting what the car is, a reconditioning process.
Yep.
When you buy a car wholesale, you got to get it inspected. I had my dealer's license for quite a while, which I let go over another story. But you have to get them frontline ready.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you buy a car at an auction and you pay out of the book for it, and you got to run it through a new car dealership shop, and then you got to get them to inspect it. Then you got to get their 49.5 point inspection. And I'm just laughing because they always make up some kind of number of inspections, right?
Random.
And then they're going to oil change it. Then they're going to say it needed this, and they're going to say it needed that, and they're going to say it needed this. And what you were saying earlier, it's like they're robbing the sales department of the profit because they're eating it up in the back end. So they might have $200 in parts and charge $2,000 to recon a car because of all the labor they had to put into it.
Well, I mean, and as a dealer principal, right? Like I understood and saw that there's certain reasons, and there's definitely, the salesman comes in, right, and they get to walk in the door and they get to sit at their desk and they get the phone to ring because
Right.
you're spending $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month in advertising. They get to come in, they get to see the car that's
Right.
pretty,
Right.
right? You bring the customer in, and then you're handing them a percentage for what? For what? Most of them couldn't close a door.
It's true.
So, so there is an aspect to that where that having fixed cost in there does help cover, or fixed profit
Yeah, that's true.
does help
That's true.
cover fixed cost.
I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. I was talking to a friend of mine in the car business. I've got lots of friends in the car business, and I was also reading an article online. Garrett, did you know the average? I know you know everything, but the thing is, people that are trading in their cars that have bought a car in the last 2 years, the average upside down. Take a guess. Upside down.
Percentage, or are you talking about
A
amount?
dollar amount. Take a guess. What do you think the dollar amount of the average person upside down today is?
I'm going to say $10,000.
It's 10,000. You're on the money. It's
Almost like I know the automotive industry.
But I'm saying I read an article and it said the average customer trading a car right now in the last 2 years that had bought a car in the last 2 years is upside down.
Well, you had coflation, which is that COVID, made everybody mark up their vehicles because
Then lack of inventory.
It was the lack of inventory. It was all of it, and then
Best thing that's ever happened to the car business since the invention of the internet.
Why? Tell me why. Why do you think that's the best thing?
demand. It finally shot demand up.
Because the customer walks in now. The customer walks in now
Okay.
and has complete control. Right?
customer does?
Yeah, the customer.
They didn't.
Because the internet is there.
Right.
Right? The customer comes in and they're like, oh, well, there's 25 of them. Which one do you want? Right? When there was one, it was a beautiful thing. Like back before the internet, what did people use? They went to their local dealer.
Auto Trader.
They went to their local dealer. They drove in a 5-mile radius because most people live in a 3 to 5 mile radius,
Yep.
right? They didn't have the ability to look online and go 150 miles from here,
Carvana.
right? 150 miles from here, I can save $3,000.
I
They
was-
didn't do it.
I was looking at a car on Carvana for my house in Arizona, and every time I looked in Tucson, Arizona, for a car, either a Tesla or a fucking truck, they showed me shit in New York and Chicago.
But they
and
could ship it to you for an additional
for
$2,000.
Yeah, for $1,500, we'll ship it to you. But it was all the ads that I kept clicking. I was like, where are the cars in Arizona? It's like the national brand or national advertising had ate up. And I'm over there on cars.com. I'm on Carvana. I'm over here looking for cars. I'm like, I just went down to the freaking Texas when I was in Texas. I bought my truck in Texas and shipped it to freaking Arizona because there was no inventory in Arizona, in Tucson. Go figure. But that's what's going on, is the internet has opened up. If you own a car anywhere in the USA, you can advertise it and people can find it.
Facebook is
Marketplace. You ever hear of people selling cars on Marketplace?
Oh, I love it.
You do?
Oh, yeah. When right at the beginning of COVID,
Yeah.
when we had just moved to Myrtle Beach,
Yeah.
I was on Facebook Marketplace and going, hey, instead of having 50 people come to your house, I'm licensed, bonded, and insured. I can come with certified funds. I can come with a check. I can come with cash, whatever you need.
So you're buying cars off Marketplace?
And I was buying them off Marketplace.
Yeah. Did you get good deals?
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh, it's because they don't want to deal with the hassle. You're just
Right.
one person.
Right.
No problem. I'll give you, $500 to $1,000 below what you're asking, and I'll come right now.
I know 20 years ago we used to tell people to go to CarMax and be like, hey, just get on CarMax, get a buy bid, and then come back here. And if we can't make a deal, just sell your car to CarMax, and then we'll sell you a car.
And they're still doing that.
They still do it today.
Mm-hmm.
Carvana. I think,
doing the
Audrey,
same
what did
thing.
you sell your car to? No, was it CarMax? You sold yours to CarMax.
But Carvana, you can go in there, type in your information. They'll give you
There was
an
another
instant quote.
company that competed with Carvana. Who was that? Was it True?
There's Carvana, there's
Car-
Vroom, there's...
Vroom is the other one.
Vroom, and that was it. Are they still around?
Eh.
These companies got hurt though really bad though. They were doing like some different, like getting titles. They couldn't get cars, or
Carvana was having an issue.
were they?
Yeah. It's actually specifically in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got their license revoked in North Carolina.
So
for a while. I
talk
believe
to me
it's-
about this wholesale license. What do you have to have a wholesale car license?
It's state dependent.
But that means you can't sell the car retail.
Correct.
So you can't go and sell me a car.
No.
Oh wow.
But
Okay. He can sell it to a dealer who can sell it to you.
Right.
I'm sure you have some retail dealers that you can go through.
Absolutely. I can facilitate a deal from A to Z.
I love it.
100%. I mean,
Without
it's,
having. So your big building. What are you doing with your building now?
we do recon in there now. I've got
The
a
strip
couple.
clubs come and win.
No strip clubs. No strip clubs.
I'm just
We
kidding. It was 10. He said it was nice. It was beautiful. 6,000 square feet.
yeah, the shop's 6,000. The whole thing's 10,000.
You bring a lot of inventory there, recon them, get them going.
Yeah, anything in that DMV area, we'll typically bring it there.
You have a mechanic or anybody that works on cars
Yeah,
there?
we've got mechanics. We got
Oh,
mobile
so that's
detailers.
what you're kind of that's your hub.
Yeah.
What's the average span of a piece of inventory from you from buying it to then selling it?
I call it cradle to grave, and we try to be 21 days.
Cradle to grave.
That's awesome.
Do you hear that? Cradle to grave.
Crystal was, I told her it was 21 days when she came back in hot and heavy into the books and really helping to manage our office up there.
So Crystal, what's the actual answer?
And she says, I'm going to
badass.
beat you like a drum, and we're going for 14 days.
So the thing is, when you're trying to buy these cars and you certified funds, is there like a floor plan that you have for the bank that basically you buy cars and sell cars through the titles and they hold the titles or something like that?
Yeah, so the vast majority, I mean, for me and my business and the way that because we buy things that I'm not touching. I don't
Right.
touch. I personally don't touch probably 90%, and probably close to 90% I never see. So for me, because most people think that the car's the asset, the car's not the asset. The
Yeah.
title's the asset,
Okay.
right? So for me, the asset for me is my cash, right? So I don't want to give you money, have you send me a bad title that is going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, 3 months to fix, and then inevitably when I say, "Hey, Mike, you gave me a bad title, refund me my money," everybody is, "What's going on here?" No, I'm not going to give you back your money. So we're just going to hold the money until we fix the title, right? Because that makes perfect sense. So I didn't give you anything negotiable, but I should keep your money. And that's how most of these dealers' auctions will work. They won't refund. So when I buy a car and I can floor plan it, I will floor plan it because the cost is minimal. And I know how to play the floor plan game in terms of how to save interest. So I use it almost as a courier service rather, to where that title comes in and it's messed up. They don't have my money. I send them back the title and say, "Hey, let me know when you have a negotiable title, and by the way, stop the interest."
Got it. So how many cars do you think you have sold in a month? Like one day? Like I'm not one day. In a month, what have you shuffled?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of cars.
Right.
Multiple
I know
auctions.
dealerships that would love to have sold hundreds of vehicles in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably do. I told Krista I think we're gonna we should surpass 300 in March.
300 cars. Wow. You'll sell 300 cars.
10 cars a day.
But he's taking like $200 and $300 losses on them. I mean, and
Yeah, it's
you know,
horrible.
$500 wins. $200 losses. And then the dealership manager calls him up and it's like, "Man, we were $300 off on this car," and he goes, "Just take $300 off then." So it's a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The asset is the title,
And how many years now? You said you bought the building at 15 years. You've got what, 30 years doing this? 20 years?
No, I'm 25 years in. I bought the building in 17. We opened the retail arm in 2017.
What made you close it? COVID?
I had a manager that embezzled a lot of money,
Oh man.
and I wanted to get out of Maryland. We were already planning. We were building our dream house in Florida, and it was already part of the plan. Like I thought I had the team together at one point. I want to say we had close to 40 employees.
Wow.
And I said, then COVID hit, right? We caught the embezzlement right before COVID, and then when we were trying to go after whatever I'm trying to say, go after this particular gentleman.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with the state's attorney, and I have cameras that are better than these.
Right.
I mean, we can read from 150 yards away what your paper says.
Right.
And yet somebody robs a bank and it's a grainy photo.
And
Right.
we could read it down to the nth degree.
What was he doing? How was he embezzling?
Oh boy, it was.
I'm just saying.
Rather not go down that.
I'm
road.
just saying, if you're working at a car dealership, what's the first thing you would look at if you own a car dealership or a business and say, where are
So
they?
hypothetically,
The down payment?
hypothetically, it's down payment.
That's what I figured,
It's
down payment.
It's POs.
Okay.
Or promissory notes rather.
Okay.
It's
We used to call them due bills.
Yeah.
So in the car business, we used to write due bills. When I sold cars, be like, "Hey man, we got a due bill," which is a WEO, like a WEO.
Mm-hmm.
Well, WEOs are legal. Promissory notes are not.
Okay.
So, so those couple of areas are great places to look.
Okay.
Your back end product is a very good place to look. Initial approvals is a very good place to look.
Right.
You get an initial approval that is, $500 down or $2,000. Just pick a number, whatever the number is, and then all of a sudden you have a car deal that is consummated with no money down, and they can get it approved. Well, they could be in there and tell the customer it's $2,000 down, and then do duplicate signings on contracts.
So when you go to an auction, what do you, when you have say a Chevrolet dealership in Maryland says, hey, Sam, I need 30 cars, right? What you said earlier, parameters. Like, are you looking from like 2022 to like 2024, and you're looking for cars under 30,000 miles? Like, is there a certain specific miles that the banks like to stay under for financings to get the longer terms?
For sure. So you just mashed up a bunch of different things there, right? You said auctions, you said dealerships, and you said banks, right? They're not mutually inclusive; they're exclusive. So when I go to an auction, or if I'm going out to buy whenever I go out to buy, right, which is every single day. So it's not. I'm not going, I'm going out and I'm going to target this Chevy dealer or this Toyota dealer or this Hyundai dealer or I'm not targeting anything.
Got it.
Right? I'm targeting cars. I'm looking for value. And
Okay.
when I say that I'm looking for use the phrase you used again, when I'm trying to find for whoever's niche, right?
Their niche.
Whatever it doesn't have to be specifically this car, right?
Right.
It's their parameters. That was the word you
Yeah,
used,
parameters.
right? Their parameters aren't necessarily year, make, model, miles. It's how does it fit into what does the public see? So what does the public pay attention to now? They pay attention to Carvana, right? Because Carvana is a big driving force out there,
Right.
that says, hey, this is our price, right? Come get your little token and come get your car.
Right.
It's no haggle. Here it is. This is what you're getting.
Carvana, CarMax, right?
Yep.
So CarMax is obviously, they're the leader in terms of how the consumer pays attention to the no haggle pricing.
Do you think all car dealers will get to that?
No, absolutely not.
They won't. It works for CarMax and it works for Carvana. But
Well, CarMax does it because they do volume. It works because you do volume. You can actually lower your pricing.
I remember
And if you're
Sonic.
doing that
I
straight
remember
across the board.
Sonic
they
Automotive
did.
Group did years ago.
But
And they
see,
got away
and
from it.
that right there, that right there is it's genius. And actually, when I had it's genius what they did. Their marketing, because they made you believe the perception is that you're getting a great deal, when in fact you're not. CarMax makes and once again, like I can't get sued over this, right?
No, no. There's no one can sue you over an opinion.
But
okay,
it's like,
so it is of my opinion
Exactly.
that it could slightly be factual that they make they make about $1,700 a car
Well, that's pretty good though.
at their wholesale auction.
They do.
At their wholesale auction. So for me, now dealers have a tool, right? At store level, have a tool to get what's called a max offer,
Okay.
right? And the dealers that I deal with that use a max offer, I say, I guarantee if you give me a shot, I guarantee I will beat CarMax by $200 every time, minimal, right? But you have to give me a shot on all of them. You can't just pick and choose.
Well, so CarMax buys like Costco does. They buy in bulk.
Yep.
They buy such a huge amount that they get a lower rate and a bigger discount on a huge amount of vehicles. So they'll just come in and swallow some inventory.
The thing, I had a friend of mine that was a service manager in a tech. We used to race dirt bikes with him, and he was telling me like he is one of the mechanics at CarMax, and he's like, Mike,
I feel sorry for him.
he still works there, but the thing is, I said, listen, how's it going there? He goes, man, he goes, this is what he said. I would buy a car from CarMax and tell anyone in my family to buy a car because they will.
They stand behind everything.
Will freaking fix the car, and whatever's wrong with it, they make it right. So just the peace of mind. A lot of other retail new car dealers won't do the same thing that CarMax will, as far as taking care of the customer and taking care of the car. I
hear stories all the time.
I do too. Do you have that same experience or no?
Would it surprise you to Garrett?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Garrett said they buy in bulk. Would it surprise you to know that I sell CarMax cars every week?
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's it. But they got to buy cars from somebody, and might as well be you. They're looking for cars anywhere, just like you are. You're looking for cars everywhere.
So I take those max offers at the dealership level, pay 200 more, and then I'll run them back and sell them to them for 1,000 or 1,200 more.
There you go. Love it. Smart business.
So, question for you. So, what is a car that you see at auction, you're like, instant winner? What's something that you know will sell almost instantly?
Honda Accord.
Oh, anything with
Toyota
anything
Camry.
with eyes and equipment and
Eyes,
yeah,
wheels, tires.
Yeah, it's got to
Like,
have
It's got a nice stance.
the
Color, does color matter?
oh, of course. Yeah, I
Really?
mean, you buy a bright red fire engine red truck, forget about it. You're
Nothing's gonna sit on a
you're
lot.
just gonna hope and pray and beg.
Really?
But,
I didn't.
But
read
what's
that
so?
before.
What is it? So Mike asked about mileage, color, style. Like, what does a dealership look for typically? What's the main
it
thing? they
depends
go
on their
for?
demographic, right? I mean, you could be in. I'm not trying to be evasive. I think it depends on
There's
who they're
different sides-
targeting. I have different dealers that
Different sides of
target
town.
special credit. I have different dealers that
Right.
that go after.
Like what we used to call them bogues. They would come in and be like, "Hey man, this is a bogue."
Oh boy. Man.
A bogue was a guy.
Look,
that
everybody needs a ride, right?
everybody needs a ride.
it's,
That's when the buy here, pay here car lots down the street.
Mhm.
And when you get your credit fixed, come on back down here, bro.
that was that was something that we definitely went after in
Special finance. So I have a little bit of history in this. I used to sell. That's why I'm making a joke. I worked for Condor Capital, which is a bank in New York, in Hicksville, Long Island, and I went around and repped all the car dealerships for a year in North Carolina, and I bought secondary paper. So I would go into the finance department and I would buy B and C paper, and we had a criteria of what we would buy and what rates we would buy them at, and I got funded $100 every single deal that we funded. So I was going in, and the very first thing I would do is go get their turn downs and look and go, oh, that one qualifies, that one qualifies. And I did the same thing you did, where I would buy some paper that it was questionable to get in with the finance department, so they would start funneling faxes to us to say, hey, we'll buy a deal.
You just said faxes.
Faxes. It was. That's what we did. We had to do in the day. We had the fax and the fax machine.
I just had to point that out again.
What was so freaking horrible about a damn fax machine is the paper. Like, you would get something out of the paper and it would curl up, and you would have to like put like anchors on the end to read.
Sorry,
this
didn't
shit.
mean to distract you, but it just
got him.
yeah, I did.
But
Squirrel.
That's what I did. But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience to read credit
Yeah.
and look and see who could qualify and who could come up with a down payment, because that's how you bought the equity in the car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's comical that you just said learn how to read paper, because I owned a dealership, got national banks. I mean, we were a diamond dealer for Cap One that independents couldn't get.
Right.
I was a Santander dealer, independents couldn't get. I was AmeriCredit.
Right.
So
Ameri-
one day I'm sitting at the at the desk, and I'm trying to get deals bought, and I owned a dealership before I had ever sat in a retail dealership and ever done a retail deal in my life, and I'm like, okay, so I'm looking around, and they're like, yeah, it's line 5, and I'm like, what the hell is line 5? So I pick up the phone and I call, and I think it was Westlake, and I get my Westlake rep on the phone, and I said, hey, I got this customer in here. Can you look at this deal number? And we're looking it over, and he's like, what's your line 5? And I said, I have no idea. I said, listen, I want to sell a car today, so maybe we go through this process. I'm a pretty quick learner, but right now I want to sell a car. So how do I get to selling a car? I want that. That's all I want to know. So I said, what I need you to do is I need you to work this deal, and I'll close it. But I need to know whatever we got to do. And there, and there would be line 3s and line 5s, and what's their DTI, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
DTI, debt to income.
Right?
Yep.
No idea what
Yep.
you're talking about, bro. I'm
Yep.
just trying to sell a car. Like, this is so much easier when I go to the auction.
Yep. I know. But so it was something that you need to learn.
No, absolutely.
And you got to be proficient in it. No, so going back into the time where you got mentored, have you mentored anyone yourself that you have a success story where you actually are like, I took this dude under my wing, like I got taken. Tell me one success story or some failure that you took under your wing.
Learning moment, not failure, Mike. learning moment.
Well, there's a failure to me is when you take someone that you mentor and they just switch gears and became an insurance salesman.
I've got them on both sides.
All right.
Yes, I've got.
Tell me one of your success, like a mentor, somebody you mentored in the car business.
My wife's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
He speaks English?
He does.
Oh, good.
Yes. In order for me to, so my mentor, right? My mentor, I was driving the tow truck. I'm doing all these wonderful things, right? I'm cleaning cars, I'm changing batteries, I'm working literal 18, 20-hour days. And I said, I've had enough. I want to learn how to do what you do. And so I attached myself to him. But the problem is that's why it was 20-hour day. So he says to me, well, you got to find somebody to take your place. And that's where her brother came in.
Okay.
So I called him and I said, hey, I need someone to come drive this tow truck. Let me teach you how to drive a tow truck. So I brought him in, taught him how to drive a tow truck, and he helped do that, which gave me the room to go learn how to be on the street and buy cars. And
all right, that's one of the most valuable things in business that I would want anyone on this podcast to listening. I've told in business coaching and to Garrett, and one reason Garrett's involved with me is the only way you can grow is you have to replace yourself. So you had an opportunity to do something different, and you said, well, the only way I'm going to get out of this is I got to bring somebody in and replace me, right?
Amen.
That's what you have to do.
Yep.
Anyone who owns a business owns a job until you hire someone to replace you. And then now you own a business. Because when I was working, I owned a job. When I tinted windows, I did 20 hours a day. I was working 6-7 days a week. I owned a job until I finally realized I would like to own a business. And you make less money owning a business. When I was actually owning a job, I made a lot more money. When I actually started owning a business is when my responsibilities changed, but my income changed. And then all of a sudden I had to hire this person and that person and that person. And then my income got from multiple different places. It wasn't just one place anymore. Right. And that's kind of how I evolved. And I tell business owners, I'm like, you have to paint your own dream. Like I tell business owners all the time, if you're happy having a job, just do like the Greeks do. Close your restaurant for 2 weeks and take your summer vacation. Just tell everybody, staff, you're closed for 2 weeks and we're going to take a vacation and we're going to come back and get back to it.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody watches these Instagram motivational speakers and they're like, oh man, million. Not everybody's capable of that, and not everybody wants that. Some of the happiest people on the planet are the dudes living in a freaking little, like you just said, debt to income. They live off, 50 grand a year, another 25 from the wife part-time, and they drive a paid-for truck, and they have a house that's, modest, and they live a great life. And you're always seeing them on the lake. You're always seeing them having fun at the ball games, and you're like, this dude's just
doesn't have a care in the world.
No, but they're happy.
And
one man's happiness is not another man's happiness.
Amen. For sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So
absolutely. And that was something for me that over the years I had to mature through.
Right.
When her brother worked for me, and because after when I left, and that like 7 years later left my mentor, and I left, and God forbid he watches this.
It's all good.
So I had a non-compete, and he took me out, and I'm going to use a very sharp word, I think, and I felt like it was extortion.
Okay.
And it took a long time for me to get past that, and he wanted me to buy my way out, and I basically told him to sue me, right?
Okay.
I said, simple, like I'm going to work, and I have a right to work, and I wouldn't be leaving if you did
or taking care of me.
Did some things a lot different. So, and he says, well, are you taking Scott with you? And I said, no. I said, absolutely not. I told him he needs to stay right here. And he says, you did what? And I said, yeah, I told him he needed to stay here because he needs to experience the pencil whipping that you're going to give him. And that way, when you fuck him over, when he comes to me, he'll know the grass is significantly greener.
Oh, wow.
Damn!
Oh, that's badass. Right
I mean, really, talk about foresight and forethought. Holy
so,
shit.
Unfortunately, Scott didn't listen, blew out immediately, came to work with me, and we started our company. I took a $45,000 line of credit against my house. The year that we started our business, we had gotten married, found out we were pregnant, started with $45,000 line of credit. By the time I bought Crystal a car. I knew that we were going to have a baby, so I bought her a
Kia Sorento.
a '98 Ford Windstar.
Oh, there you go.
With power doors.
I love it.
Nice.
Power doors. Went and met with the insurance agent, paid for the license, the bonding, and the insurance for the entire year. And that way, if I totally shit the bed,
You at least had a year.
I had a car that she could drive.
Oh, there you go.
Right? And by the time we got in business, Crystal just reminded me of this. It was February 28th. February 28th of 2017? 2007. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's flying.
Well, happy anniversary for that.
Thanks. So, had 11 grand in the bank. That's all I had left of the 45 grand after I paid the my mortgage, because I had to pay my mortgage with my line of credit.
I understand.
For 5 months, I don't know if he knew I was leaving, but he held my money for 4 or 5 months. Wow.
The guy that you work for?
Yeah.
He was holding it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your first deal? Like your first, oh shit, I just made $1,200 or $1,500 on a car.
I can't speak to what that was, but I can tell you, man, I don't want to make this a bashing him session.
No, it's not bashing him. It's more or less, what did you do to get your first source of income?
I want to say it was a Mercury Cougar. I want to say that's what
I think it was a trade-in somewhere?
Yeah.
You just took it from a trade-in, took it, and then wholesaled it somewhere?
Yeah. I mean, in the very early days, I did, I wasn't allowed to buy anything without his approval. So I was on the phone with him. I'm describing the cars. We go through the mix, and he'd tell me what I was allowed to pay. And then it was my job, obviously, to try to get it for less than that. And then he would sell them. I could tell you at 19, I think this is a pretty prominent kind of piece of my story, and this is kind of a two-parter, is that at 19 years old, in a 30-day time span, I put up $44,000 in net profit.
No shit.
In a month. My check that on a 50% split somehow came out to be $7,800.
Whoa.
So
that math ain't mathin'. That math ain't mathin'.
And I was told that a 19-year-old kid doesn't need to make $22,000 a month.
Really?
And I said, I agree. I agree. There's probably not a 22-year-old on earth that needs to make $22,000, but this 22-year-old earned it. And I dealt with that for 7 years. I was actually talking to a friend of mine that knows this particular gentleman. And Frank, if you're listening, buddy, I'm sorry, but this is the truth, brother. It is what it is.
It's real talk.
That is real talk.
I was talking to another gentleman that we both know, and he looked at me one day, and he grabbed me by the shoulders, and he said, "Shut the fuck up. Pay your dues. Everything this man's given you, no one can take away. If you were going to Harvard or you were going to Brown, right, everything he's given you, no one can take away. You suck it in, you take it all in like a sponge, and you learn, and then when it's time, you go do it on your own."
So I'm going to add a little bit, because I did a lot on my own, and a lot of failures, but a lot of success. And failures and success. I mean, ups and downs. I was a roller coaster. And I had a lot of young people that I mentored and coached, and took a lot of time coaching them and teaching them what I was doing in business. And I kept teaching my competition.
Mm-hmm.
All I kept doing was, as soon as I would mentor get somebody right where I wanted them, where I could trust them, they were gone and opened up a store. So I said, over probably 10 years, I opened up at least 5 or 6 competitors. And I was like, all right, there's got to be a better formula to this. And I said, okay, well, if we create a brand powerful enough to where anybody that wants to go on their own, let me be the bank, let me finance their dreams. So if you want to go on your own, that's great. Let's just do it under the same brand. Let's do it under the same umbrella. I kept watching a bunch of drug dealer movies, and I'm like, that gangster's got his corner, and then that gangster's got his corner, and that gangster's got his corner. And then they all meet at this table, and they all share their stories about what the product needs to be sold for. And you don't come into my territory, and I don't come into your territory, but everybody, there's like some piece to this, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, all right, well, if we tint windows on this side of town or that side of town, this side of town, maybe we can all share the marketing and create some market control on
Smart.
pricing.
Very smart.
And it worked. I started to see a lot of my guys wanting to go out on their own. And I said, okay, let me help you get the store going, but I wanted to empower them to where they were the manager, shop owner. But I had to sit them down and go, you haven't done your tax returns in 5 years. You owe your baby's mama child support. They're going to come after your money. As soon as you get a business bank account, you're not going to be able to sign a lease on a building. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do this. So let me give you a percentage of what the store does off the top, and then I will take the risk on everything else. So I just looked at it like an investment in these people and the store. And to them, they owned the store. But on paper, the corporation owned the store, and I was the corporation. So it was very good for me to mentally let them feel like they had some empowerment. And I said, look, once you get your taxes in order, and once you get your money in order, and you want to buy me back out, you can. None of them wanted to come up with the money. It's like they wanted a free store with no risk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I can't understand is everybody wants something, but they want something for nothing. I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
Do you have that same?
Absolutely. Listen, I think that it's it's a very convoluted thing, right? Because it's, for me, I wanted to, I was talking to her brother the other, just yesterday, and he's actually renting some space from me, and I said, this is what it was always supposed to be. When he gave me his exit that he was
Right.
leaving, right? I turned the paper over, blank piece of paper, and I said, whoever has gotten in your ear, and whoever's told you that you're better off on your own, and whoever this is, all they're doing, they're jealous, right? They know that we are a monster, right? They know that we are a force to be reckoned with. And at that point, we were doing 200-300 cars a month. Now combined, we'd probably do 500-600. If we were together for all these years, we'd probably be doing 700 to 1,000.
If you and this guy were together still.
Right. Still, because he is a freaking monster.
Right.
He is a monster. And I turned the paper over, and I said, don't let them break us up. Here's a paper, here's a pen. Whatever deal you want. Whatever deal you want. I don't care. I don't care what it is. Just write it down. Stay with me. I said, I've offered to close my business, right? I said, I'll come work for you. This is not pride for me. I know what I'm capable of. I know what you're capable of. I know what we're capable of together. This is not about getting a percentage from you. This is not about me taking anything from you. This is about not letting whoever this is that's in your ear, right, break us up. Because ultimately what happens is what you just told me is that under your umbrella, right, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're able to use the same insurance, right? It goes up because you add a location, but
Right.
it doesn't go up 100%.
Right.
It goes up incrementally, right? And that's, all of us, we're so stupid, right? Like, I have 2 mentees that are out there that are doing very well, doing very, very well. And I look and I go, that's 3 licenses, that's 3 bonds, that's 3 insurances, right? That's 3 floor plans. That's 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. What the hell are we doing?
We could have just stayed
We
together.
could have stayed together. We could have stayed together. We could have figured this out. Like, we could have solved this together if it wasn't this whole pride thing.
Right.
And
Pride will keep you from making money.
absolutely.
It does. It'll get you hurt.
All about beating that chest.
All right. I want to get to a really fun note. I know your wife loves cars.
She does.
She fucking tells me all the stories about what she's doing to her car, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm doing the rims, I'm doing graphics, and I'm doing that.
Part of the reason why I got to
And
work so hard.
And I'm doing interior.
I think we're interviewing the wrong one.
I know, but I don't want. The problem
Why
is
is she flicking me off back there?
it would be her show. So the thing is, you don't strike me as the kind of guy that actually gives a shit about cars anymore. I don't really that much either, because I've been around cars my entire life, and I'm kind of over them.
That's not the first time I've heard that. I know another retail dealer that I asked the same thing. I was like, "What's your?" He goes, "I can't view them as favorites anymore." He's a car guy.
Right.
He goes,
Yeah,
"I can't."
I mean, you just talked about gangsters and drug dealers, right? You don't get high on your own supply. I don't, like, I could care less.
I'd be in trouble at an auction.
It's the car that
If
car
you-
I
if you-
love the most is the one that leaves.
If you won $100 million in the lottery, and you could say, "All right, I'm going to go buy 2 cars," what would you buy? But you had to keep them. You couldn't trade them or sell them. You had to keep them.
I think you would be shocked to know. I mean, I think
Ford Ranger?
I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to answer it in a roundabout way, and it's not because I'm avoiding it. It's because I don't really know. I've been through in 25 years. I think we're if we're not closing in on 100,000 cars, we're right at it. I've never in my career bought a Lamborghini. I've never bought a Ferrari. I've never bought.
Would you ever buy one if you won the lottery?
I don't know, because I don't know that. I don't know.
They drive like shit.
I don't know, because I've never even been in them.
I just keep telling myself.
Yeah, I know.
I've never been.
I know exactly what you're doing.
I think I'd like a, and I don't even know the correct name of it, but I like the Rolls Royce. I like the look of the Rolls Royce
yeah.
with the doors. That,
Oh yeah, those are cool.
The Phantom, the
Yeah.
Wraith, the Dawn,
yeah,
the Ghost.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
The
sincerely,
Ghost.
I don't buy them.
The new Ghost is insane.
Yeah.
So if that's what it is, then
Or
that's
if you
probably
want an SUV, the Cullinan.
You know,
I'd buy the newest, brand new diesel truck that I have now. But the thing is, I would also buy the sports car. Like, if you had $100 million in the lottery and you won it, and you can only pick 2 cars, and you had to pick 2. You would buy the driver, and then you would buy the weekend warrior car, right?
Oh yeah.
And I love my GT500, I do, but I'm kind of going back in my roots and going, I want like an old classic that's been resto modded up. It's got the crank air conditioning.
Creature comforts, but you get
Yes.
the look of vintage.
Yeah. So when you pull up somewhere, you're one of one.
Yes.
Like I drive my Ford GT500 and I pull up the guy. It's a Mustang. It's a souped up Mustang, but it's still a
Well,
Mustang.
it's all orange.
I love that. And if you bought like an old car,
Right.
you're not pulling up at the gas station seeing
The
another
same thing.
old car, you know? So
right.
what would be your old car?
You'd have to defer that to my wife. I'm not an old car guy.
You don't like old cars?
I'm not.
No shit.
Crystal, off the top of your head, you
I'm
know
an
what that'd be?
island guy. I'm a jet guy. I'm a
Island
yacht guy.
Yacht guy.
I'm not
really?
I'm not a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
DuPont Registry is your best friend, huh?
Oh my gosh, that was my porn as a kid.
I know, right?
That was my porn as a kid.
DuPont Registry.
Couldn't afford
hilarious.
shit, and I'd be like, "That's way overpriced."
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
That's great.
I used to watch that Pimp Your Ride.
Uh-huh.
Those
I
dudes.
bought one.
No way.
Yeah.
What did
You
you
did
buy?
not.
Yes, I did.
What did you buy?
Crystal, you remember that?
What was the car?
It was from Russell Mazda.
Yeah.
What was it?
I bought a Mazda RX-8.
Nice.
That was signed by Exhibit.
Exhibit.
Yeah.
The
and
host.
yeah, it had Louis Vuitton interior
Get
and
out.
Lambo doors. I did. 100%.
Screens don't work, and there's a
How much did you pay
fridge
for that
in the
car?
center console.
You stole that car. Like you had to, because the
Nah.
dealership that took it on trade was like, I have no idea how to
need to
put
get
a
rid of
number.
this thing.
I have no idea how to put a number on this car.
The first cars we bought over Stannis.
Yeah, I want to say, what year was that car? I think it was like an '07. I think it was an '07 or '08 Mazda RX-8. Had the chameleon paint, the
Oh,
Lambo doors,
oh,
Louis
God.
Vuitton, and
That's ridiculous.
signed in the back. And I think I paid like $12,500 or something for it.
It's crazy.
The paint job was probably 12
You
grand.
didn't even leave it on the lot. You left it in the showroom
Yeah,
at the auction.
Yeah, I left it at the auction, and then
That's crazy.
I got a phone call that somebody had made an offer, and
They offered you 10 grand.
I think we
Probably
Did you make-
15.
it was like 3 or 4 grand, I think.
So you made some money off of it?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I saw a couple today driving an RX-7, like beautiful, rounded body, red color. They were older, loud ass exhaust.
What kind of car?
No tint. It's a Mazda
RX-7.
RX-7. So the
That's
one
a significantly
couple?
cooler car than an
it's a
RX-8.
really cool car. So you ever seen the Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, yeah, that
The
car.
first one that Vin Diesel's driving, that's
Yeah,
an RX-7.
I had one.
So
I had an R1. I had a
so
93.
this RX-7 was beautiful. It was the same exact color as the one Vin Diesel drove in Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
And it was just an older white couple, and this exhaust
Hey,
was massive. It was
hey.
about
They
3
were
or 4 inches.
picking it up for their son. They were. He was coming home from the army.
I'm
and-
I'm telling you, they were grinning from ear to ear.
Yes,
He
because he's finally gets to see his
loving it.
car in 2 years. He's been deployed. He's coming.
It was
There's
just
no
cool
way.
to see an older white couple driving that,
But
and
they
just
were
proud of
Maybe
it.
he just went and picked up his like absolute dream car.
Whatever. No, there's a story behind that one. I would like to.
Maybe
that
that's
was
the
his classic.
story.
But it was just cool. It was just cool to see that car, and it flew right by and then drove right by me, and I was like,
Yeah.
that is not who I was expecting.
So
to
here's the
drive
thing. I know you had a bad month. Tell me a bad month. Like if you had to sell a bunch of cars and lost money, what was the biggest loss you ever taken in the cars?
Biggest individual loss?
No, just total. Like if you had a bad month, like what would you take in losses?
I've never lost an entire month.
Yeah, but how
Like-
about a
lowest
certain-
lowest profit.
Did you ever had a car where you traded you wholesaled it and like the motor blew or something? They said
Oh
hey,
yeah, I mean I've lost 10,000 on a car.
you lost 10 grand on one car.
Yeah.
What kind of car?
Shit, I just built one for myself, then I hated it, and I sold it, and I lost like 9, like 3 weeks ago.
I keep telling everybody stop building cars because every time you don't throw a lot of money, you lose
Oh
it.
yeah.
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 Keep it stock.
Keep it stock.
Keep it
Yeah,
stock.
well, you know.
Rims, you can take as they call it. You can put some shoes on it.
Yep.
Change the shoes.
Yeah.
Put some tin
No
on it.
shit.
Wax it up. But anyway, Sam Pizarro, man.
Parzo.
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 Parzo. God. Parzo. Where's that from?
I guess from my grandfather.
I know. What island? What island? You just said you're an island guy. What island?
No,
is it
I'm
from?
an island. Like I would like to go buy. If I won the lottery, I'd go
I'm just
buy an
kidding.
island.
Now, where's Parzo from?
My father's side is Jewish.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I have no idea. These names now. I mean, I have to go to what's that tree learning? No, what the tree of life? Like where do you? Where you
Oh
from?
yeah.
I don't think it's lending tree.
I'm talking like you.
23andMe
No,
or
you send them like
Ancestry.com.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
It was like a tree. I saw like a tree.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, I need to do that one day. My dad did it, and he started rambling off all the castles and kings and shit, Scotland and all the England places we were from. And then I went online and I said, Dad, you just type in Burke, and then there's the crest, and then I Googled it. It's right there.
Right.
Yeah, he's laughing. But anyway, it was good meeting you, man. It's good having you on here. Thanks, Garrett, for a nice Saturday afternoon driving up here from Myrtle Beach. We're about to go eat a steak dinner. A car business. You can make money in the car business, but you have to have relationships, and you are mentored for $300 a week when you were young from a guy, and he exploited you for years and years and years, would not pay you, and you went out on your own, and now you're killing it. Is that pretty much it?
The hard knock life.
You know, that's
for you.
that's a good synopsis for sure.
So, in a wrap up, if you're a young kid, 16 to 18 to 18 to 24, find a mentor. And then stick with your mentor if you can work out a negotiated deal to be part of his network and grow together. If you can't, go on your own and destroy your mentor.
You know, that's definitely another way to put it, for sure. You know, I definitely wouldn't say I destroyed my mentor.
But the thing is, what was that education really worth? I mean, realistically, if you were to go back in time and look at these 18-year-old version of you.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Right. But I'm saying, what was it worth? If you would have gone to Harvard, like your buddy said, he put it on your shoulders, and you'd bought a 5-year education at Harvard, it cost you $200,000.
Right.
What you learned in, 7 years?
Yep.
Was worth $1 million.
Every bit.
Every bit. So when I charge people $500 an hour to talk to me, it's worth it. I'm just kidding.
I love it.
Anyway, dude, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Wrapped up. It's
Thank you, guys.
59 and 43. See, I love my new counter. I got a little clock here. It tells me I'm 1 hour in. We're legit. This is the real talk.
This is pretty awesome.
It's pretty sick.
Thank you for
We're
having
getting
me.
better, man. We're just having fun, enjoying some conversation, and you can look back at this when you're old and go, I was cool at one time.
At one time, I was cool.
Good night. See you guys. Bye.
Appreciate it.